guys, welcome to the Center Bounce. It's your boy Joe, back in God's country, here down under. It feels good to be back, talking from the bedroom, no longer whispering in my uncle's basement up in the States. It is certainly good to be back. Jeremy will be on very, very shortly here talking about AFLW round one. We're definitely aiming to do it yesterday, but yesterday was when I touched down into the country and I was absolutely knackered. I had absolutely no chance that I could get on. The jet lag was real, and there was Look, I said to Jeremy, "Yep, well, let's try and do it. Let's try and aim for it." But I was asleep by 6:30, so there was no way we could get that stream done. So here we are today. It is later than normal. This will be happening on Tuesday nights. It won't be happening on Wednesday nights moving forward. It's going to be a Tuesday night thing, so keep that in your calendars that you can come by and watch with us. Shannon, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it, Chaz. And yes, I missed the end of the home and away season, and I actually missed a lot of the AFLW this week as well. But we will be going through how my team did, how Jeremy's team did, looking at some of the results from the weekend, who did what, the winners, the losers, and some possible players to trade in, because that's really important. Oh, Jez, how's it going?
Mate, I'm happy. Look, I don't know if you've done the welcomes. Have you done the welcomes, Joe?
I did a bit of a welcome. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, a bit of just a welcome to the AFLW show, I guess. Hey, something a bit different.
Yeah.
Did you go over with the fans what we're going to be doing today?
Yes, very briefly.
What's happening?
Correct. Few different segments, and it should hopefully yield a very streamlined sort of experience for us today. Of course, you guys are more than welcome to leave your questions in the comments as usual. We'd love to interact with you guys, hence why it is a live stream setting right now. Yeah. But yes, we'll be going through the results. We'll be going through my team. We'll be going through Big J's team. We'll be looking at certain players that we're looking to trade in, where we've got some deficiencies in our teams, and answering your questions to see how we can all progress.
But we'll do a big search for players and whatnot at the end of the stream after my team reveal. Yep. So yeah, keep your questions. You can keep them posting if you want, but we'll go through some DFS and some other things as well. So yeah, I like your shirt, Joe.
Thank you. It is a new one. I got it from the Adidas store, so it's always fresh, always original, and that I think is me. I'm always fresh. I'm always original.
100%. All right. Do you want to pull up the teams and we'll have a look? All right. Here's a bit of a thing, right? I'm going to ask you, did you actually get to watch any of the games? Or are you kind of like, you kind of gone into it a bit fresh, right? It's probably the right word.
Oh, absolutely. No, I didn't watch anything. The time difference was insane. It was middle of the night for me whenever these games were playing, and it was always too hectic for me. So literally this week, I caught none of the games. I just looked at some of the stats and obviously some of the end results. But in terms of watching the games, no. I am in your hands in this department this week.
Yeah. It was a good one. I think the rise of the expansion teams did all right, but I think as well a lot of the teams that drafted well, the teams that actually traded and brought in the right players as well. You could see the ones who were strong last year because it wasn't really a full season and it wasn't really a full preseason because normally, as you know, it is in October. Like it's August now. Normally they play like around Christmas time, right? So. Yeah. It has been a limited preseason that way. But I think you can see normally like the teams who are stronger are the ones that really showed. Some teams got slaughtered. I know St Kilda probably shouldn't have scored any points in that game and somehow made out with like 16. But yeah, it is what it is. And I think the cream will come to the crop. And yeah, it's great seeing 18 teams. That's all I can say.
I believe you there. Absolutely. I think that's it. There's no more expansion clubs, so everyone should. It's hard to be on an even playing field, but I mean, we can see North Melbourne are absolutely flying. I didn't have to watch that game. I didn't have to watch that game to find out that you guys are really good. Geelong are also really good as well. So a lot of the Geelong midfielders would have also popped off in sensational fashion. And to
there
see
was
that,
a lot of very good Geelong players. I think just across the board, not even the midfielders. Like the forwards were scoring well. Rookies who you probably were thinking, hey, in AFLW fantasy, they might be scoring 30s and 40s, were scoring 50s, 60s, 70s. So it was a little bit skewed that way.
yeah, exactly. So, all right. Causa, how's it going, mate? Stuck on trades, 157 for the round for rank, as can't get Tiana Smith to Dave in one trade, but trying to work it out. 157 for the round rank? That is insane on your Causa.
Top notch.
Mate, should have listened to you for advice. Where were the DMs, Causa, mate? Helping out me in the overseas. Shaz has gone. Will there still be any fan cams on Sunday?
Potentially. We'll work it out. Potentially. It's going to be an interesting one. I think maybe with the final series we will, but kind of the latter half of the AFLW season we might pull off. We might say, hey, let's pull it off. But there's 4 teams playing AFL this weekend. It should be, well, not 4 teams, 4 matches this weekend, so it should be a good one. Jump in on Sunday and chat about your team, and even your AFLW can ask some questions too.
Mate, Shannon doesn't have a team in the AFL. Oh, JD,
hey,
how's it going?
You have a mighty big chin in that picture. I'm not sure if that's your real chin or if that's been edited, but you have a mighty big chin.
No, I've seen JD. I had the pleasure of seeing him in the flesh, and I can confirm he does have a big chin. So I'm not willing to test it because he would certainly drop me if I was to test it. So thanks for coming on, JD.
Yeah, as you say, let's hit up maybe the first. We might do the first segment for today. What do you reckon?
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it. Just want to say hi to Globes. How's it going, mate? You're not doing AFLW or the waffle. Those are 2 different things, Globes. And I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back. I'm sure I hope you guys haven't missed me too much. People going, that's just my face. Oh, mate, the rookie's going up 100K. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's so punishing, man. I was talking to Jez before this. Far out, like you miss one rookie and goodbye. It's so hard to get him.
Yeah, and the interesting thing versus Supercoach as well is that the rookie price plays at 300K. So it's not like you can get another 100K rookie in a couple of weeks of price increases. Guys almost have to double in price before you can actually offload them. Otherwise, it's not worth getting these players in. Get the expensive ones at the start, because I don't know how you're going to afford to get Kira Bowers in later on. If she stays around 1.5 million, it's going to be really tough to bring her in at some point, because you have to get 1.5 million. You've almost got to trade $2 million worth of players to just get her in.
That's why I stacked the midfield. Another reason why I stacked the midfield, so I don't have to worry about any trades there. That's all done. Going to get a lot of points from it. Is it the most ideal? It might not be, but hey, at least I'm saving myself. I don't need as much cash gen as others to finish the team.
It's a lot easier to get a couple of $1 million players out of 3 trades in a week than it is to get a $1.5 to $2 million player.
Correct. Absolutely. So, where do we want to start with? With my team or your team? Or
no, maybe we'll do the week's games and we'll just talk about kind of the best players, and then after that we'll do your team in that. JD, so we'll go over the rankings, but just before we hit the first segment for today, I am ranked 1321. Where are you ranked, Joe?
My rank is 3311.
Actually, no, sorry. 1715. So that's me. Yeah, and we'll do our trades during the trade period time when we talk about our teams. So
yes,
let's go.
I just think this is the easiest way to show the scores here. Over at DFS Australia, Mortz has an incredible website.
If you guys have any, before we get started, if you guys have any questions about players, chuck them in the comments. We'll hit them up at the end after we do our teams for the week.
Yep.
Cool.
So we'll start with the first game of the AFLW season. I didn't watch this game. I didn't watch any games, but I did manage to catch the highlights for this game. And it looked to me that Collingwood came out pretty strong, but after I think maybe half time, it was just an absolute demolition by Melbourne, who hit the last 9 goals of the game.
Yeah, and I think we've seen similar things last year when you've got Taylor Harris, Kate Hoare, and a few other people kicking like mass goals in that forward line. Alyssa Bannon there as well. Teams just can't stop it, and defenses just can't stop it. We'll talk about North Melbourne versus St Kilda a little bit, but I think it's really a height difference game a lot with the AFLW, especially in the forward line. There's not a lot of like 190 plus women. So if you've got a 180 plus forward who's mobile, they just do really well. And obviously, as you say, that's what happened with Melbourne. It was really close up until about half time. Then Melbourne just went bang, and that was it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, people who started with Brianna Davey were absolutely positively happy, excited about everything because she went on, she had an absolute tear, 87% time on ground, but she had 35 touches, if you don't mind, 5 tackles, 3 marks with a massive 131, and she's now rocketed up into the $1 million mark. So congratulations to everyone who owns Brianna Davey. She's absolutely killed it. Brittany Benici was someone that people had as well.
100%.
A lot of people had the Davey Benici combination. She didn't quite hit the heights that a Davey hit, but still 88 points for someone for that at that price point, I think is still pretty successful.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to bring Davey in this week. Bit of a spoiler for our team reveals later, but I don't think she can do it every week, but she can do it. Maybe she's the big one from this team who's the one to bring in. As you say, just at $1 million, there's a lot of downgrade options there. And if you've got some spare cash in the bank, she's definitely one to look at. A lot of time on ground, coming back from injury, could be that superstar that I think she was trying to be a couple of years ago before the injuries. Kate Hoare did really well. I know a lot of people have her. And then there's a few kind of antipods there. Some people who I didn't bring in, who you did in the likes of Paxman, who I think she was 30 or 40% owned before the week started. And came out with a 58. So you got punished. There was rookies scoring more than her on field, and you got punished for having that player.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Sorry, Joe. You just
so
want
nice.
to get punished. You know what I mean?
I love it how you have to tell me that I'm getting punished. Like I haven't experienced it myself. You know what I mean? Like paid over $1 million for a 58. It's wonderful. It's sensational. But look, it is what it is. She's in my trade plans this week. Not keeping her around. I can't afford to keep holding on to someone who's just going to absolutely plummet in price. And I would have gone Brianna Davey like you are. I would get her, but I've got too many problems with my team, unfortunately, that I have to fix elsewhere. So unfortunately, she's one that has to go. I know you said that she might not be able to back this up every single week, but in what was a smashing, for her to still go 131 is really promising and reassuring for the rest of the season.
I know the game doesn't show us break-evens like it does with Supercoach, but I assume hers is still quite low. So even if she doesn't end up being a keeper, she'll get around to that $1.1, $1.2 million mark. That will allow us to bring other players in. So, it's not really that much of a loss there.
No, it isn't. So I think that was everyone of relevance for this game. We'll then move to the next one, which was a close one. Low-scoring affair between Carlton and the Suns, 32 points. This one has come out of the clouds when we're talking about rookies flying and going up 100K. Well, scoring a 99 on your first game certainly helps.
I think as well, as opposed to the men's game, obviously people are saying that AFLW is a lot more congested. The ball's a lot closer. They have to do the throw-ins from, a few meters inside the field and things like that. But if you look at these tackle numbers, the top 8 to 6 players on each team, Anthony 11, Shearer 12, Dal Poss 9. Like, these are numbers that the men don't put up. And for the women to do this is bonkers. Obviously, that shows in their highest scores. But, just kind of showing the type of game that these players have got. As you say, Anthony, I think, is the one to get at the moment. If you've got a forward, I'm pretty sure she's forward, right?
No, she's mid.
Oh, she's mid. If you've got a mid that you want to try and downgrade to, or you need some extra cash in, it really is a big thing at the moment because you just might not be able to get like upgrades in your team. I don't know how many other 300k players are going to get announced every week. So if she can potentially get to that 800-900k, it's going to be fantastic for you. There's so many good players though. It's surprising that the only 100 scoring players were for Gold Coast, just from the stats of that Carlton team. But obviously Carlton got across the line.
Well, Charlie Rowbottom's a gun, and she was in my initial starting team because I was really bullish on her. Someone who can get a lot of the pill and tackle, and that's exactly what she did. 25 touches with 12 tackles is insanely good compared to Anthony's 14 touches and 11 tackles. So. Yeah. She's a gun. She's established herself. There was some movement away from Gold Coast, so she's someone that was just going to cement herself as having someone with more mid-time and more importance in the midfield. Someone who managed
Lucy Single, man. A lot of people talking about Lucy Single at the moment.
Well, it makes sense because Lucy Single was again, there was some movement out of the Gold Coast Suns during the off-season before this start. And so Lucy Single's been giving a bit more time on ball from what I've read, from what I've seen. And you can see it translate into the 12 tackles as well as the 10 disposals to go along with her name. I think she's someone who is probably going to be in my trade plans this week. I mentioned in the previous game, I want to trade out Paxman. I think Lucy Single is the one that I'm going to be trading to.
Yeah. If you're looking for that type of player, 100%. As I was saying, cash gen's really it's pretty tough. So if you can bring her in, if you need a player, I think as the game progresses, as we'll find out, next year and the year after, as the game's going on, a few of these people who normally play midfield will be actually named in the midfield and not named in the forward or the defense. But expansion teams, second years in the season, there's a lot of these really good gems. And at that price, she's competing with Hall, who's more expensive at the moment. She's competing with Erin Phillips and a few of these other, what you consider to be premium keeper players. So if she can keep it up, the stats don't lie. Yeah, as you say, she's going to be fantastic for those owners.
Yeah. Some other people that paid up a lot of money for a Moody, for example, in the ruck line, definitely would not be happy with the 44.
No,
especially when you've got the rookie rucks.
Get in.
Exactly.
Port Ruckman, I love it.
Schultz was sensational.
Yeah.
Heck, even Fleur Davies was also really good compared to a 44 from Moody. So that really sucked with people.
Even Hall scored more than her at 300k. So yeah.
Exactly. So that was a bit of a disappointment there. People paid up. I don't know how many people paid up for Mimi Hill. She was pretty expensive. She only scored a 67. Abby Mackay was also up there, really expensive. Only scored the 86. So, it was an interesting game, interesting sort of scoring output here from the Blues. But they managed to get the job done. And I'm looking at Lucy Single as a player. And Charlie Rowbottom is still someone who's really good. If you feel like you don't want to wait another week on Bowers and you think Bowers is done, then Charlie Rowbottom is certainly one that you can keep an eye on.
Yeah, I definitely think so. She's going to be pushing at least for that probably top 6, top 7 midfield spot.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. Well, then move to the next game. Adelaide versus Port.
It was it was kind of the derby. I think there was a few derby games this week. And Adelaide being the stronger team, the more established team, obviously Port Adelaide only came into the game last year. So they might not have the established mature age talent. And I think we see that across the board as Marinoff and Hatchard continue to dominate. There's not many teams that can stop them. Maybe North Melbourne will give them a run in that midfield, but they're just way too good. Then Neve Kelly comes in. I think she's a bit of a younger player, and a few others as well. Chelsea Randall, I think she's the forward. Pretty sure she had 50% plus ownership at $1 million. So there's another antipod. Basically all of my forwards scored more than her this week. So not sucked in, but it kind of hurts if you own her. Looking away over the Port Adelaide side, Erin Phillips, a lot of people jumped on her. Joe's going to potentially bring her in this week. Spoilers there, but yeah,
No, I'm
very
not
good for
actually.
the price. Still
I'm not
very good,
doing
very good for the price. Joe was looking up. She's what, 38 at the moment, Joe? So
Yeah,
pretty
she's
good,
way too old. I'm not doing it.
Pretty good for an old player, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she's 38 years old, bro. I can't do it. She's not going to stay forward. She's not going to stay in midfield like that forever. She can't. I refuse to believe it. At 38 years old,
Todd Goldstein can do it in the men's game. Why can't she do it in the women's game?
perhaps, but we don't have Todd Goldstein in our Supercoach teams, do we?
No, we don't.
So Erin Phillips, she was a sensational.
An 80 score in Supercoach isn't good, but it is in AFLW.
I guess it was a great output there from Erin Phillips. For those who started her, congratulations to you guys. On the ball playing. Abby Dowrick was someone who we had us two, I think, I'm pretty sure, in the fantasy last season. She had a good game as well, 87. But, that's definitely paling in comparison to all the big scores. If you were paid up in the midfield, 87 just simply wasn't going to be cutting the mustard. Schultz, my God, look at that. Only had the 14 hitouts, but she scored us 76 points. That is,
I think she had. I think she had 75. We'll look her up later, but I'm pretty sure she had something like 75% CBAs as well. So she wasn't even in the midfield all the time when she was on field. Looking at the next game as well, but this game's definitely a good comparison between established team on the left and then expansion team on the right, and you can see that by the scoring. The score actually in the game, not fantasy scores.
I'm also really happy with how Anne Hatchard played. I know she only scored 100 and she was pretty expensive and she's dropped in money, but she had 4 frees against as well. So
pretty good.
Which obviously hit into her scoring there. So yeah, really happy. I think all these top midfielders are really good. You couldn't go wrong with any of them. It's just a shame that Bowers had to miss.
Yeah, and Adelaide will continue to be like a favourite for the finals. So
absolutely.
Until they knock off.
Yep, cool. We'll move to the next game in what was a smashing at GMHBA Stadium. Geelong love to play there. Shows, regardless if you're men or women, you love to play at GMHBA.
So Geelong like to play at home? That's a bit of a shock.
I know, right? My word. Georgie Prespakis was right at home in this game.
She's pretty good.
My God. Look at that. 34 touches, 4 marks, 11 tackles, and a behind. Imagine that was a goal. She would have that's insane.
And it's crazy to see. Like, it's what I was talking about before, right? If you look at their scores, they've got 7 players who are basically on 90 plus. So they were definitely racking up the scores. If you look at the fantasy points differential at the bottom, they almost scored 300 points more. No, more like 350 points more than the other team.
Yeah.
So they just dominated. They've got the good talent to come across, similar to like what Adelaide has. There's a lot of those players, and they put a lot of money into that AFLW team as well. Prespakis I know you did as well. And then guns like Nina Morrison, who I was like 50-50 on. There's a lot of value there. I don't think they'll be keepers for the whole year, but against this Bulldogs team, they just slaughtered them. Only one, player from the Bulldogs team who got over 100, and then one who was in the 90s, and then the rest were kind of Pitchard, yes, was a good score, but outside of that, they were pretty average.
Oh, they absolutely were. Yeah. I mean, it was just a one-sided demolition here by the better side in the Cats.
I saw that. I saw that too.
Unbelievable. That is a massive flaw.
At least it didn't decide the game to make finals. Like, imagine if that had happened again.
Oh, poor Adelaide. They're still ruined. They were robbed in front of me. Amy McDonald was someone who I was really big on as well in the preseason, and someone who I also had in my starting team. I remember I was telling you before recording this, man, my midfield before was so good. I had all these amazing players in my midfield, and I ended up changing a little bit, and I don't have all of them. But it is what it is. Amy McDonald's sensational. But like I said, this was a demolition. And when it's a demolition, the midfielders will always pop off. And you look at 65-17 and all the mids for the Cats, just, Morrison, Parry, McDonald, Prespakis, they all went crazy. I don't think you can expect this every week, though.
No,
I don't think Georgie Prespakis is going to be scoring 140 plus. She's a gun. Don't get me wrong, but 140 in this game is ridiculous.
At least she's showing herself as being one of those vice captain options. I mean, we don't really play with loopholes in this game, but potentially you can. The way that the vice captain and captains work, it's the same with super coach. So yeah. She's pretty good.
Absolutely. Cool. Move on to the next game where my girls, yes, showing the boys how it's done.
Did very well.
Did very well from what I've heard. We did it very well. Spiritual performance after quarter time. We were the better team apparently, and the scoreboard shows it. We won by 19 points over the Hawks, and it was really carried by two people by the looks of things. Bonnie Too Good, who was, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say she was too good. Like that's just the lowest form of humor possible. I'll just say Bonnie was exquisite.
Last year.
Huh?
We made a lot of those jokes last year.
We did. I'm not going to say Bonnie was too good. That's just scraping the barrel, bottom of the barrel. Bonnie was exquisite. 23 disposals, 8 marks. That's ridiculous for in this game. 8 marks with all that congestion is insane. 3 tackles, 2 goals. She was massive for us. 103 points. Maddie Prasparkas, 31 touches, 6 tackles. It's hard to. She's wonderful as well, but not quite pushing the top 6 mids that you want to get. So I probably wouldn't go Maddie Prasparkas. And from there, Georgia Nanscon was someone that I mentioned as well in the preseason, who we love the look of, and someone who's an experienced player for us. 21 touches with 4 tackles to score 68 points. I'm sure all owners were really happy with what they got from it.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Looking over the Hawthorn team, similar to what we were saying before about a few of the other ones on the expansion teams, they've still got some players in that side who are available in, I would consider to be the wrong positions. That second player on the list, Tamara Luke, there's going to be a lot of people looking at her. Maybe we'll get some questions later about it. But she's available in the forward line and currently at 500K. So 87s, you're going to get a ruckman in your team for 500K. It's worth looking at if you've got to do a bit of a swap. I know, I'm not going to burst your bubble and say what you're going to do, but she's definitely one to consider bringing in. I think that's probably what the scoring is going to be between the Hawthorn team, but there's definitely some gems in there. A few of the more established players stepped up later on, like your Caitlin Ashmore. I know she was lower in the scoring at the start of the game, but just got beat. Essendon was too good. Battle of the expansion clubs, really. And Nasha Wen, I'm going to butcher that name every game of the season. I'm going to call it Nasha Wen until I see something different. But a lot of people had her on the bench or on field, mature age player coming back from injury. I know she might end up being my M5 at the moment. So, doing really well.
She is a very good player. The Tamara Luke is one that is really high on my radar for getting either this week. For me, it's either single or Luke. I'm definitely open to suggestions from our wonderful viewers, but I think before they rise,
it's too hard to avoid at 500K.
Exactly. The thing is, I don't think that will continue. That will persist though for the rest of the season. They don't
even have anyone else. Who else have they got?
I'm pretty sure they're going to get someone back as a ruckman. I think. But that was that game. Well done, Bomber girls. We come to your mob.
Flashing. Bro, St Kilda were on 0 points halfway through the third quarter. That's how good North Melbourne were this game. We got the ball from the midfield and then just kicked it forward. The defense did defender things. It's a really good game to watch. Kind of your more experienced, established team. North Melbourne has definitely poached a lot of good players from other clubs. And I don't know if it's a culture thing, if a few of the players just know everyone and that's how, but you can definitely see it, kind of the expansion club versus the non-expansion club here. And North Melbourne just slaughtered. I had Jasmine Garner in my team. A lot of people say, don't get her in, whatever. Still fantastic. Ash Riddell's super cheap as well. It does fall off a little bit, but, you're not picking Ruby Tripodi in your team to start with, are you? You're going to pick someone else. So the guns are good. The rest are still good. Emma Carney, still viable as the most expensive defender. She only lost like 3K. So, very, very good player. Looking on the other team, there was a couple of people who really fell off. If Jono's in the chat, Jono, I'm not happy. You told me to pick this person, and she was not good. I'm not happy. That's Big Ella friend who scored a 20 and played 90%. She's named as a defender, and the ball just never went in the forward line. So that's where she was. She didn't do anything because the ball never went there. And I know a lot of people had Tiana Smith as well in their team, either on field or on the bench. Kind of the flavor of the preseason type player, 29. So for these people who were versing probably the contenders for this year, it's hard because they're scoring so low. So maybe stick with them if you want. But when you've got a St Kilda team and no one scores over 80, like, come on, man. It's a pretty hard one. Hannah Priest doing very well, and then Xenos doing very well as well. But you probably don't want anyone in your team that's not those two.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be getting Hannah Priest this week.
She just looked good and played kind of every week.
Yeah, and this is a 77. Yeah, and it's a 77 with 2 frees against. So that would have pushed her up. She would have lost. So she's lost 6 points there from that. So it would have put her up to 83 points. And anything over 80 as a defender, I think, is really, really good. So I think I'm probably going to head with Anna Priest this week because I had Lulu Pular here from North Melbourne, and I don't know if it's because she's played all over the place, or if the ball just simply never went to the back line, which it seemed to be the case that way. So she scored pretty bad. Only had the 8 touches. I don't know if I think Hannah Priest. If Causa he's saying that she tagged Ghana in the 3rd quarter. Well, if she's tagging and she's being played in the midfield and it's racking up, causing her to get more tackles, well, that I think is excellent news. If she's going to be the one sent to the best ball winner for the opposition, means more midfield minutes. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Not much. Hopefully they can rebound back next week because I don't know if I'll have any St Kilda players in my team afterwards. It's a bit rough, but what can you do, right?
Absolutely. We then get to the next game, which is Brisbane hosting the Richmond Tigers. And again, a close game. 1-goal win to the Tigers.
Yeah, it was a really interesting one because I don't know if Brisbane just lost all of their goal kickers. There wasn't a lot happening. I remember it being a really contested, strong game. And as you see, just by, Supercoach is obviously regulated to 3,300 points, right? AFL Fantasy isn't. So if you look at that, no team scored over 1,000 points. There was a lot of very low-scoring players. So it was just congested. It was just the ball came, and that was it. Yeah.
Look at the drop. From 101 to 65.
Exactly. Yeah. Elise Sheeran should have scored a lot more. A few of these other players should have scored a lot more. I don't know if Champion Data was just like sleeping on the job, but a lot of these players who were doing really well, the ball just kind of turned in a kick one way, kick the other way, and then tackled Central, and then that was it. It was not a tough game to watch, but just like a slog. And obviously that's represented by how many points are scored from either team and scoring from players across the board as well. You'd expect a couple of Brisbane girls who were there to score like hundreds, and people would have brought them in to do that, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many people owned players from these two teams, to be honest.
I know there was a few Brisbanes.
I think there was a few that Sheeran. I think there was maybe a few that had Seymour as their ruckman instead of paying up for a Moody. So only getting a 59 out of her for that price would have also been pretty bad. Monique Conti was probably the most likely, I think, of the Richmond players. She had a great year last year and she ended the season quite strong. And then she's back to where she left off with 26 touches. Yeah, she was their best by a long shot as well. So, 4 frees 4. I don't know how often that you're going to get that though. And then on the Brisbane side, I mean, I'm not sure who was well owned from on the Brisbane side. I don't think there were too many.
I know a few people had Postal Waith. I had her as well. She was doing quite well.
Yes.
And then somehow only ended up on 65. But yeah, there was definitely some players across the board there who were in that situation.
Right. So yeah, do we expect much from these two teams this year?
I think you'll get some rookies across the board. I know I've got Elise Sheeran as a defender at the moment. So I'm expecting her to try and, be in that top 5 to 6 defenders. But, I don't think Richmond's has made a final since like the first season, and Brisbane has dominated. So maybe just a bad game for them. But Brisbane's one of those teams that every year superstars keep getting taken out of that side and going back to Melbourne or going back somewhere else or getting more money because, the player cap's gone up. So, yeah, it's a tough one.
Cool. All right, move on to the next game. Battle of the Bridge. The Swans edging out the Giants. Another derby. Not too bad. Again, not many players that managed to hit the 100 mark. We only had one player. That was Laura Gardner in our forward lines. And those of us who started Laura Gardner would obviously be very, very happy with this result. 7 kicks, 12, 13 tackles obviously was the highlight because you get 4 points per tackle.
She was poised to play a lot more midfield as well. Maybe we'll look her up in the last segment, but yeah, definitely.
And that's with 2 frees against as well.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, so she did sensationally well. Chloe Malloy, I saw the highlight. She kicked a ripping goal, sold the candy, then check-side the goal. That was wonderful. 74 points is not too bad as well for a forward. And then was there anyone else that people had their eye on? No,
not really. I know a few people had Ella Heads in their defense as like a 500k player. So maybe she's one that, people are looking to trade out. I'm pretty sure she either stayed on money or actually went lower this week. So it's a tough one. I'm pretty sure they were an expansion team and just got a lot of younger players kind of building their tanks that way. Got the guys who are obviously going to be scoring better, 70s and 80s and 90s, but the rest got to pull their weight a little bit.
Yeah. And then on the other side for the Giants, Tani Evans led the way, was sensational with 88 points. I am trading her into my team this week. I think she's much too good. Took a lot of kick-ins as well, which definitely is something that I love to see. 6 tackles. And look at that. Incredible kick-to-handball ratio. 19 kicks to 1 handball. So a lot going Tani Evans' way. I'm going to get her. I think she's a must-have. I was
lucky enough to bring her in, like the starter of my team, and I'm pretty happy with doing that.
Oh, as you should be. Someone who also did really well for us was Fleur Davies, who scored a 54 with 15 hitouts. That was really good for us. We went the cheap option in the ruck. It didn't pay up for any premium ruckman. And it was a good thing we didn't because Fleur Davies, she didn't do as well as Schultz did, but she still did better than those premium priced ruckmen. So really happy with what we got out of Fleur Davies.
I think as well this year, the people who went more expensive in that ruck position have actually almost been punished. I don't know if there's been that many rucks who are actually scoring really, really nice scores, like no 100 plus. So getting your Fleur Davies, getting your Hall, getting your Schultz, probably what looked to be the much better play for teams this year. Free up some money to play other people. I mean, next year we probably won't have those players because 2 out of 3 of them are from the expansion clubs or close to. So next year might be different, but at the moment, ride that wave, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. We'll then get to the final game of the round, and that was between no one and no one, clearly. Come on. And that was between Freo and the West Coast Eagles.
This game made me sad because I have Kira Bowers, and an hour before the game started, it was, hey, no more Kira Bowers. So I was lucky to have Nash Warren. I'm going to keep saying Nash Warren until I die. I had her on the bench scoring a 68. And it was funny too because there was a bit of controversy at the end of this game. Somehow the scoring it was a scoring glitch, right? So if you had a Freo, I think maybe even just from a Sunday play on the bench, you got their scorer as an emergency, even if you didn't claim the emergency. So there was a lot of teams, maybe Monday, who were higher ranked than what they were on Tuesday when it actually opened.
Jeez, unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's pretty funny. A bit of teething problems, but still not great.
Well, first week that this game's been open for, we can forgive them for some glitch. But it was a win. Yeah, a win even without Kira Bowers. It didn't stop Freo from winning this game, 27-19. So well done to them. Mimi Strom topped it all off with a 112. She was only one of 2 players. Emma Swanson the other to crack the ton. So well done to her. Angelique Stannett, 97 points. One of the top scoring or the top scoring defender, I think, this week. So well done to her. 10 tackles to her name with 13 touches, which was pretty good. But looking at this, her where she was playing forward pocket a lot. So that is something that probably isn't most ideal and not conducive to getting the most points every single week. So I probably wouldn't go her. Who else? Gabby O'Sullivan was one that was on a lot of people's watch list in the preseason, considered to be very underpriced. 12 tackles for a 75 is okay, but in that midfield, 75 just isn't cutting the mustard. Really, that score is really only good if it was your rookie score on the bench to cover the absence of Kira Bowers.
Yes.
You were missing, if you got her on field, you're missing out compared to people who a lot of the Uber premiums beat the ton this week. So 75 would have had you behind the 8 ball. Who else was there? Maddie Scanlon. I'm absolutely butchering the name. Was also someone that
is on this show, guys. Sorry about that.
Yes, 65 points. She's a defender. She's got a pretty low break even. I think she's gone up in price. A lot of people got her in their sights as well. 6 tackles is great in the back line with 11 touches and 4 marks. So she's clearly capable of intercepting. Wouldn't be against selecting her. I think she'll be pretty good with 90% TOG. I like seeing players with high TOG. It shows that they're fit, ready to play. I got Michaela Hyde. She had 15 touches, 2 tackles. She was playing in the back line. She had some kick-ins. A 49 in the forward line is not the worst. Obviously not the best either, but the forward lines typically struggle to score normally anyway. Ebony Antonio, if you pay over 800k for a 35 point, that is very tragic. Obviously not something that you wanted to see. 5 touches only to her name with 2 tackles. So look, I'm sure a lot of people who own her are looking to get rid of her.
Yes.
I think that's everybody on. Jess Lowe was someone that we had looked at early in the preseason. I'm not sure how many people still own her. 28 points is obviously not very good either.
No, it's not. It's definitely a team of, hey, these players were good last year, like your Kaufman and a few others. Let's pick them this year. And it's worked out okay, but obviously not the best players. I think the greatest thing about AFLW fantasy is that there is 3 trades. So in the first few weeks while guys are cheap, you can make corrective trades pretty well. Does Kira Bowers play next week? We're not sure. Knee soreness. Maybe she's all right. Potentially someone in chat let us know, but yeah. I know a few people had Emma Swanson scoring 100's okay. I know a few people had Ella Roberts scoring a 92 in the forward line's pretty good. So there is some value there, but you go down that list and big Charlotte Thomas, mate, she had a blood rule injury. So it's not too bad, right? I think she got a knock and then got taken off the field for a while. But still, you don't want a 36. She's one of the players who has dropped, 100k already. So jump off that ship unless you think she's going to be a keeper, because she was someone who jumped up in price last year, had a really good year.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of options there. You can sideways to a Priest or someone else, but it's a lot of money to start losing. Another crappy score next week, and she could lose 200k in 2 weeks. So, yeah, something to consider.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of her, unfortunately. I'm trading her out to Priest. I can't afford... She missed out the entire 4th quarter.
It's a long time.
Yeah, so 36 points up until 3-quarter time is obviously not really promising either. So stuff it, biting the bullet, trading her out. It is what it is. That was this last game. I'm really hoping that Bowers comes back this week because I am looking to hold on to her this week. I do have too many issues with my team that I have to fix.
Yeah, and I guess when you've got that stacked midfield like you have as well, you've got some money to play around with. You don't have to worry about bringing in these premiums. If Bowers stays the course and keeps scoring as well as she is, hopefully it's just like a 1-week injury type thing for you.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I guess we can then move to the next segment. I've already got my team loaded here. I can pull her up. This was how the team did last week. Scored 1276 for the round, which has me at an overall rank of 3311. Not the best, not the worst. It is classic middle. It's your everyday Joe score. Allen, 64, was my second best scorer after Cordner, who was the rookie who scored a 74. Unreal. 2 dud scores from Thomas and Puller. Unfortunately, he scored 36 and 32 respectively. Smith, a respectable 57. Not too bad. She gets to survive.
Pretty standard, right? 57's like, she's 640k. You want a 50 or a 60.
Yeah. And that's sort of what we got there. Come to the midfield. Bowers didn't play. Had the Marinoff VC. You take a 112 every day of the week. Obviously, it would have been awesome if we had on Prespakis as 147. But hey, yeah, hindsight's 2020. But it's been, yeah, we paid up big time for the midfield. Took all the top dogs, and they didn't let me down. I thought they've some of them might have dropped in price a little bit, like Marinoff and Hatchard. I think they both slid in price a little bit, but overall, these are players that I think I'm very confident are going to be top of their line, if not like top 6, top 7, top 8 probably. And having finished the midfield, I don't have to worry about trading any expensive players in anymore. Had Fleur Davies on the field instead of Schultz. Missed out on 22 points there. Rookie roulette failed me there. Big whoop, no big deal. Paxman was a disappointment in the forward line. I didn't like that. Roberts was great. Gardner was great. Hyde was okay playing in the back line for Freo. So 49 points in the forward line. Look, I'll take that for now. And as we were saying, this is a very hard name to say.
Yes.
Lily P. Yeah. Lily P. With a 40 points. I'll take that. Not too bad. And Brancatisano, Maddie Brancatisano, 23-year-old, 43 points, not too bad. And Fitzpatrick was not great, 29. So I wish I had Naviscon there in her stead. Would have been a lot better, but it is what it is. We ended up failing, and Tiana Smith was no good. And Bush was also no good. So a lot of bad rookies, unfortunately, on my bench. The field's not too bad, but the bench was not so good.
So what's your changes for this week, Joe? What are you considering doing?
I am considering making some trades. I am considering doing all three trades. I think you can't not do 3 trades. I'm thinking of saying goodbye to Paxman. She's dropping in price a lot, and I don't want to keep doing that. What I do in the forward line is either I get the Hawthorn Luke, who was playing in the ruckman in the ruck line, 501k, has won one price rise. It was a big price rise, but playing as a ruck is really good. Was a really good score. Or if it wasn't for them, then I might go Single, who's playing more on the ball in the midfield. She's a bit more expensive for an 80. Still not 100% sure. I'm happy to take suggestions from the chat who they prefer. I think Single is more likely to maintain her role playing on the ball, whereas there could be a change coming in the forward line, in the ruck line, I think, for the Hawks, especially if they continue to lose. So I think I'll go with Single there in the forward line. In the back line, I got to make some changes because Puller, she's playing for North Melbourne, and North Melbourne are too good. The ball's never going into their back line. So I can't have her there, and I can't have Thomas continue to drop in price for me as well. So I've got to make those changes there. I like Evans, as I mentioned. She's been sensational. And I also like Priest being on the ball, playing more midfield, getting a lot of... Why is that not working? I did this before and it worked. Oh, sorry. It was because Single, because I did Single, sorry. It wasn't Single that I ended up doing. I ended up doing... what's her face?
You can just type in Luke at the top. Yeah.
Luke, yeah. So Luke comes in there. That's how it works. So I ended up having Luke there, Priest here, and Evans. So that's how I got the thing to fix right for me. I know it's only 55k. It's not a lot of money to work with, but I am backing in these players to... I think Luke's going to make a lot more money. I think she's got a very low break even. She's had one price rise. Looking to just have her rise a couple more times for me before maybe making the move to get someone like a star in the forward line. So hold on for as long as possible. And then I think these Evans and Priest, both of them are going to reliably score, I think, over 80 points for me. And I think 80 points, if you can hit 80 points as a defender, then you're a primo for me, basically. Yeah. So that is what I'm going to do. My trades are confirmed. Wonderful. I'm holding on to Bowers. I'm really hoping that she can keep staying there. I'm going to play Schultz on the field because Schultz is a gun. And I'm looking forward to seeing her score more for me on the field. Hopefully Bowers back. Please, Bowers, come back. I want you to be back. I might chuck the VC on Prasparkas because she's too good.
Just in case. My question for you is kind of heading into the next couple of weeks, where do you see your upgrades? Like what kind do you see as your concerns at the moment?
Concerns. I don't think Cordner is going to continue to keep pumping up these big scores. I think the quicker I can upgrade her to a premium, the better. I'm happy to keep the Fleur Davies and Matilda Schultz combo, the duo going. I think they're both going to do okay. It might be matchup dependent, depending on how well they score each week. But I'm not in a rush to upgrade these guys. I'm not going to touch my midfield. I think my midfield is done as well. So in terms of my concerns, I don't really think I have too many big concerns apart from the poor cash gen on the bench.
Yes.
Smith no good, Bush no good, and Fitzpatrick no good. The only saving grace I've got is that I've bought all the expensive players already, and I don't need as much cash gen. Someone in a Hyde could get a primo. Someone and a Luke could get a primo. Hopefully Lily P can continue to do well for me. Her and a rookie could possibly do really well. And then I think I might only have one spot there in the back line. So the team might be done in 3-4 weeks, perhaps.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so that is my team. Let me know, guys. What do you think? Any suggestions in the comments? Like I said, more than happy to entertain them. I didn't watch any of the games, so you guys probably might know more about it than I do. I will definitely be watching them this week now that I'm back in the country in the right time zone. So
there's a lot of footy on at the moment.
Oh yeah, I came at a good time. Hopefully we see some epic finals games as well.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, you going to show your team now?
Yep. Take your team off. Okay. This is how.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So we'll get the banners worked out. Done. Cool. All right. We're doing things a bit different, so we'll upload these later. Bit of a shock for you guys, but yeah, something a bit different. So this is how my team went for this week. I scored 13-21. So in some spots, I did really well. I think kind of the core of the team was okay, but you look at that back line, they did not score well at all. Cordner on the bench. I'm pretty sure Thomas plus Friend has scored less than Cordner. So I could have her and a donut, and I would have scored more points than what she scored. So that was a bit of a rip. What can you do there? Got to fix up these issues soon. But yeah, struggled with the Bowers is what you did. Marinoff as vice captain, that paid off really well. Prasparkas there as well. Jazzy Garner, super gun. Tiana Smith, so a lot of people struggled with her too. And then I had Nasha Wen. I'm just going to call Nasha Wen from now on. That 68 kind of saved my butt because at least it was a 68 on field that I got the donut. I decided to go the 3 ruck setup this year. So Schultz managed to put on field first from listening to a lot of podcasts. They were saying, hey, her matchup was the better one of the weekend. Hall was versing someone really tough, and then Davies as well. So put her on. Obviously, the 76 is good. Kate Hoare, 76. Malloy, 74. Erin Phillips on field really helped me with that 98. Gardner, 100, and then Postlethwaite as well. So she was actually doing really well, and then just kind of fell off in the second half of the season, in the second half of the game. I think when we were doing our round review, she had 60% time on ground. So, hopefully it gets better. Fitzpatrick apparently was dominating the preseason. It obviously didn't work out because she only scored a 29. Would have loved to have Tamara Luke there. My cash gen on the bench would have been insane if that actually happened. It didn't, so it doesn't. Looking this week at kind of making a few more changes and being able to focus the cash gen, across the board and have, come in and say, I've only got 1 or 2 upgrades left. If Schultz keeps the way she's going, she probably won't, but she'll be cheap enough, or, she'll be more expensive enough to have 1 upgrade for her. So just holding out for that at the moment. Looking at, I go to round 2. I'm looking at making some trades. So I'm going to be the anti-Joe and offload Bowers, offload Thomas, and I want to offload Friend, I'm pretty sure. So it sucks because Corden is there. Yes, she might score well, but there's a lot of cheaper defenders at the moment, and I want to kind of shore up this half of the field as much as I can. Because if I do that, I've only got Smith and Postlethwaite left to upgrade, and that's kind of the plan. I've got all this money to upgrade 2 positions if Schultz keeps her form. So that's kind of the plan at the moment. I'm missing out on a few players, but it is what it is. What I'm looking to do in the midfield is bring in everyone's favourite Davey. She's obviously dominating, coming back from injury. So it's interesting to see how she's going. I think I'm going to ride that one. In the back line, I'm going to put in Hannah Priest, like Joe's doing, and then finish up with an Emma Carney. So was considering Stannett there, but she's playing majority forward. And yes, she's doing really well. She had fantastic stats, but it's hard when you're a forward player versus a lot of teams. So if she keeps it up, fantastic for those that have her. If she doesn't, then, sucked in, I guess. It's kind of the hard thing to say. She jumped up 145k as well, so that's pretty good. Carney is continuing to dominate. I know with North Melbourne's had a couple of backline players who have left during the off-season. That's kind of pushed her a little bit more into getting the kickouts. So that's kind of kept me in that as well. So confirm the trades. I have 125k left in the bank. So half a way towards an upgrade there means I could go like 2 players plus some money to get at least a forward in. This M5 position is going to be tough for me unless someone becomes available. But I can definitely, I should be able to go 3 players into doing that. My back line is technically done. My midfield's 1 player off. My forward's 1 player off. So that's what I'm kind of rolling with at the moment. I agree with Joe. Maybe I'll go Pesparkas VC into who's North Melbourne playing? Carlton, Richmond, Freo. Let's go. I'll go Jesse Garner captain just for fun. And then Nesha Warren on the field there. So, yeah, not looking too bad. Hey, Joe.
No, it's not too bad at all. Obviously, we've taken a bit of a difference in our teams in terms of the different ways we went about structuring it. But, hey, you came out on top in week 1, so we'll see how we go in week 2.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's just fun. It's our first year of playing the game. We don't play fantasy. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Absolutely. So that was a lot of good fun.
For next week, guys, because next week's going to be a fun one, I reckon. I think I can probably finish my team. Next week, I might not do any upgrades, but depending on how these bench players go, looking at the Ruckman, looking at Cordner, I could look to finish my team round 3, round 4, or at least be 1 upgrade off, which is kind of what I'm looking for. So, yeah, it's not too bad.
Insane, rapid. This is very different to Supercoach, as you guys can see.
I think
it's been good fun.
I think the prices are a little bit different as well because of there's only 10 rounds. So maybe that increases a little bit more than what we're used to with Supercoach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Catch us in the next one, guys.
Absolutely.
All right. Last segment of today. You've stood through 7 people that are watching. Everyone else who's going to be watching afterwards. We're here to answer your questions. If you have questions about a player, Joe is the researcher. He's pulled up DFS. He knows the players. Maybe he doesn't know the players, but he knows how to find the information about the players. So if you've got a player that you're looking at, you want us to say, hey, I'm looking at bringing in this player. Can I do that? Let us know in the comments. We'll have a look and we'll get it done.
Yeah.
If not, we can finish the episode early. That's okay too.
Nah. I've seen a question. And I've seen Causa ask, can you check my team out? Carney's ruse to see what I can fix up in my team. I have 628k in the bank as when Bowers to Emma Swan.
Corey, how do you have so much money, mate? You're supposed to pick players, not pick players.
Yes, so...
Hey, he's ranked 157. He's doing something right.
He's doing something right, absolutely. So we've got Emma Carney, Sheeran, Evans, Heads, Cordner. That's a really good backline there. He's gone Swanson as captain, Marinov, Garner, Smith, and Benici. So Smith was no good. Benici did all right. Schultz, Morrison was great. Hall was all right. Roberts was great. Phillips was great. And Gardner was great. That is the best forward line in the world, I think.
Yeah, it's very, very good and very strong. Tamara Luke on the bench would have been like finish that off, but otherwise, there's no complaining about that. And that's obviously where the ranking scores come from, because a lot of people struggled in the back line and a lot of people struggled in the forward line. I think, Joe, you were saying you only had 3 premiums, right, in the forward.
Yeah,
so
the forward line. Yeah.
Lose a lot of points there if you're not careful.
Exactly. So what can we do to fix his team up? Obviously, Smith's got to go.
Yeah.
628 plus 312. So you can afford someone who's 900 odd K. See what else can you do? The team is bloody good. That's the thing. Like when your team is so good. Jeez, who's your trade out?
There's not a lot.
Could be a heads down to perhaps the Fremantle defender. Who's the Fremantle defender again? Remind me. Fremantle.
Is it Stanet? No.
Not Stanet. I'm thinking more Scanlon, the 420k Madeline Scanlon. Because when we come to DFS Australia and we look at Scanlon, she's got a low. Pretty sure I saw someone. She has a pretty low break even. She was playing centre half back, 90% tog, so she's got a good engine. 6 tackles to her name. She had 2 kick-ins as well, so she seems to be getting involved. So I think Scanlon could be a good option. So you could downgrade heads to a Scanlon. That would, because Scanlon, how much was Scanlon again? Scanlon was 420. So if you could go heads down to Scanlon, free up 160k, and then you can upgrade Smith 160k, so that's 788. So you have 788k, 788 plus Smith's 312, 1.1 mil. I think you can afford Davey, right, with that?
Yeah, probably. I think she's just under 100. I mean, sorry, just over 100, like over 1 mil, but not 1.1.
1.45. There you go. So you can do exactly. So you can afford Davey, mate. So you could do heads down to a Scanlon and Smith up to Davey, and
that's pretty good.
That's pretty insane, I think.
For the fans, if you just want to, I have now chucked in a Centre Bounce YouTube league, so hopefully Joan gets in. Otherwise, that would be a bit awkward. But yeah, we've just put up a league. So if you have a look, type in the Centre Bounce. It's all like spaces. There you go. Jump in, join, get in, guys. If you're one of the lucky ones, congratulations. We probably just do the one league, but that's all right. So if it doesn't fill up, it doesn't fill up. But yeah, it should be fun.
Here we are.
Yep.
Nice. Very nice.
I think I will post it in. I don't know if that's going to work for you, but yeah. Maybe I'll chuck it in the description of this video so you guys can have a look at that and join that if you want.
Yeah. So this is how my team looks. I'm thinking maybe Scanlon could be an option instead of Priest, but I do like that she's on the ball.
And
Evans,
I think being the team captain as well. Like I think especially for the women's teams, there's just something about like, hey, let's pass it to the captain. They're the ones that dominate a lot more. That does quite well.
Yeah. So for my team, I don't think I'll be able to do it, but for Causa, I think heads to Scanlon and then Smith up to Davey is just a killer. And then if you want to use your final trade, I don't know who you can get rid of Bush for. Be probably not too much you can get rid of Bush for.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
if you get Mara Lukin, you'd be laughing. But yeah, 100%. Your team's just too
his
good.
forward line's done. His forward line's finished.
I know. You should just put her as a bench option, Joe. Just make that cash, man.
She's 510k, bro.
Yeah. I think the way that you've got it, finishing off that midfield and then almost finishing off that back line, I think it's very good. I think you might just have to be a little bit careful with the lack of cash gen, but you should be fine. So no dramas there.
If he goes heads to Scanlon and Smith to Davey, his midfield is almost finished. He'll just have to get rid of Benici.
Oh, maybe she becomes good at some point, but yeah, definitely.
But he will literally have almost a finished team. His forward line's done. His ruck, if Schultz can maintain, he's got Davies and Horse. He's gone to the 3 ruck. So ruck line could almost be done. Back line, he's already got 3 primos. He'll just need 2 defenders and a mid. That's it, and his team's done.
Yep.
Yeah. Causa, you're in it, mate. You're in it to win it.
Gotta win that car, man. Then you can stop catching the bus.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very proud of this. I love it. Well done.
Does anyone else?
Ben, Scanlon.
Yeah, 100%.
Link. I am +6 munches. Lol. Interesting. Who else was there? There was another. Pretty sure there was a question up above, but if not, thoughts on this? A Smith to Scanlon, T Smith to Anthony, and heads to Mueller, banking 220k. So, A Smith. Was it Amy Smith?
Yeah. So getting rid of Amy Smith, putting in Scanlon, who you're saying is a better pickup anyway, so that's fine. Yeah.
Amy Smith to Scanlon. Then T Smith to Anthony.
Anthony's
right. That's Anthony's the big.
The big bank.
Now the thing with Anthony, that is insane is that she's not on DFS Australia by name, which is bizarre. Your way to find Anthony is you literally got to go manually to
go to
the game.
Do it that way.
And then click on her name there. And again, her name won't show up. For some reason, Sophie Abatangelo pops up. However, these are
the stats for her.
Her stats. Yeah. 11 kicks, 3 handballs, 11 tackles, playing on a wing.
We found a glitch
already. But she's got a bit of forward 50 play, a lot of forward mid play. So she's playing a wing. So wingers don't tend to do amazingly well very often. It depends on which wing the ball is living on. So I don't want you guys to expect her to score 99 every week.
No, she's not a premium. The big thing I'll say though, we were talking about this in the car, is it's a very low season. There's not many weeks. Jump on that cash gen as much as you can. Grab your Lukes, grab your Anthonys if you need a midfield spot, instead of a Smith or someone like that, because I don't foresee there being that many good rookies later on in the season. And the difference between, a player almost has to double in price for you to get rid of them. That's the issue. It's really hard to get these super big midfielders in, these really expensive mids. And even if, let's say, you've got 3 players, you've got to get 600k before you can upgrade one of those 3 players. So getting someone who's 500k just won't cut it. You need to jump on these guys as much as you can.
Awesome. Cool. And with that, if there's no other questions, then
do we want to let's have a quick look at, we might pull up single. We'll have a look. And then a couple of these other ones who a lot of people are talking about at the moment, and just say, hey, this is why they're doing that.
Sure. So we look at single here. Got her pulled up now. Look at single.
Why people are considering her, what was her heat map like? That kind of
so she's played mid. A bit
in AFL Fantasy. So
correct. Available on the forward line, 80 fantasy points, which is really good. She had 85% of CBAs, which is sensational, and 12 tackles to her name. She hasn't done that before. She's normally playing half forward flank. So this is a positional change. Whether or not this change persists and she continues to play in this role, obviously remains to be seen. She's had the 10 touches, 1 month, but yeah, the 12 tackles is the shining light to go along with the 85% CBAs, and 70% time on ground isn't the best.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what she's shown a lot in her history, that she tends to hover around. She'll have the occasional spike game where she plays more, but she seems to be on average around about a 70 to 75% time on ground player. There are less rotations this year in the AFLW, so whether or not we see a drop in her scoring or a reversion back to forward line play as the season progresses and she gets tired. So yeah, she's definitely an option, but there was Luke. Luke is someone who I've traded in this week, who's a 510K. She had 80% CBAs, 81% of the ruck contest, so she's overwhelmingly the number one ruck there at Hawthorn in the forward line. Too hard to pass up. It wasn't her first game playing as ruck either. She's played ruck in the past. However, unfortunately, she got injured in this game last year against St Kilda. So, 10 touches, 6 tackles, which is sensational from your ruckman. You get around the ground work as well. She gave away 4 free kicks, so this score could have been even more as well. So I'm pretty optimistic about Tamara Luke and her money.
Yeah. I think she'll be fantastic. Hopefully she keeps up these hit outs and things like that. Is she a tall player? Like, is she someone who's like freakishly 200 centimeters and we just don't know about?
Tamara Luke.
Let me check.
1.8
meters. So she's not that tall.
She's my height.
She just for some reason did all the rucking for their team. So all right then, no worries. I guess 1.8 centimeters is tall for
meters.
Maybe
not centimeters.
You know what I mean. Ben, I think you should still go Anthony, to be honest. I think you need to take the money. You don't have to spend all of it. Wait a couple of weeks, and then you can do Anthony to like $1 million player. I think that's really going to work out well for you. Do it in the long run. Take the 80s, the 70s, potentially a 60 next week. Ride the wave. You'll be able to offload her and definitely get in $1 million player. Her plus someone else. You don't have to spend all your money. I think that's one of the things that us super coach players going over to fantasy is going to be a little bit different. We're normally used to spending up as much as we can. Whereas this, because I'll go again, because the rookies are 300K, it really limits the downgrade options. It really means that we have to like keep a player for a bit longer than what we need to. So Flirt 80s is only made 87K. That's not enough money yet to upgrade to someone else. If this was Supercoach, her price might be 250K, which is fine. You can still make 100K because you've got rookies who are 100K. In this, you don't, so you've got to ride the wave a lot more. Grab these people who are a lot more expensive. Anthony right now is basically 2 players. So you've got 1.5 players left. You only need to upgrade someone else. So it's a lot of money left over in the bank. It's worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is correct. So,
Well, maybe we'll finish up with that, Joe. If no one else has any other questions, bit of a nice finish off to the season, and not season, but nice finish off to the episode there. Remember, guys, if you like the content, what do we do, Joe?
Like, share, subscribe, all that wonderful things, and keep track of us, because like I said in the beginning, this is going to be a Tuesday night thing. No, it's not going to be a Wednesday night like it is today. We're going to get it out a lot earlier so that people have more time to make informed decisions. And obviously the games are still fresher in people's minds on a Tuesday night as opposed to a Wednesday. So please stay tuned for that.
Yeah. And remember, join our league. I'll put the info down in the description below. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're only going to have one league. Maybe it's full already. We'll wait and see. But join us every week. the great thing about AFLW is that you can make free trades. It means that you can stick around for a lot longer than what we are in Supercoach, finishing, just after the bye rounds.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be good fun. If anything, take it as a learning experience, and you can take that into the next season. They tend to play 2 seasons each year, so do it now. Have some fun in the process. They'll improve the UI. They'll improve the experience come next year as well, and we can hit next year running all of us together. The season's still alive and well. Just because you might have had a poor start to the week to the season doesn't mean you're done.
One. Doesn't matter.
Correct.
It's only round 1. And there's, as we've seen from this, the rookies are scoring more than the premiums. So if you can jump on a good player, there's definitely value across the board.
Absolutely. Can't wait to do. We're going to do a reaction to the team sheets for the finals because the men's finals.
Well, we'll think so. We'll be here for fan cams tomorrow, so we'll do that. Not fan cams for Thursday night car travels should be fun.
Yes, excellent. All right, guys. On that, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Is that even a thing? Staying tuned. Listening to people singing here, staying in tune. But we'll look forward to seeing you.
Post any comments down below as well. Remember, you can do it in stream, but also when we upload these videos as well. So do that.
Correct.
We've got the master here. He just looks up the stats and then the stats come. I don't know.
You ask, I provide. Knock, and you shall ask, and you shall receive. So, on that note, guys, thanks for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow in the Team Sheets Live reaction.
Catch you guys. Have a good one.
Bye.